What is going on, everybody? Welcome to MLB Live Before Lock here on the Stokastic YouTube channel. I'm Eric Lindquist. You can follow me on X at Eric Lindquist. That is with a C for correct. I've seen a lot of CKs. I mean, that Eric Fetty fellow just put a bad rap to our names, that's for sure. But I got my guy, Chris Spags. He is a beautiful Chris. He doesn't spell it K-R-I-S like an idiot, some northerner and Icelandic culture. He has a normal name, and Chris Spags is a beautiful face to see on this lovely Wednesday afternoon. How you doing, my dude?
I'm excited to be here. I think it's a fun slate today. And actually, it's funny thing because Alex, my wife, was making fun of me today because our vet has my name as Chiss. And the thing, like, for some reason, they just left out the R. So she gets emails. They send the emails to her, even though they have both of our addresses. And it's like, Chiss, learn more about your puppy. And she's like, I should start calling you Chiss. I'm like, this is ridiculous. It's such a stupid thing to even have be a thing, but feels disrespectful. I feel disrespected by the vet.
I've never met a Chiss. I've always wanted to meet a Chiss. It's like, I've never met a blue duck. I want to see a blue duck, but that's quacktastic. Honestly, Chiz is a great way to call it. I've met Chaz's, obviously, Chaz Michael, yeah. But like, what are we doing, Chris? What? Just have them fix it. Tell them that. Have you ever met a Chiz, a C-H-I-S? Is that what it is?
Yeah. You know, I mean, I'm never going to tell them to change it because I don't care that much, but I'll just be, in their mind, it'd be Chiss and his dog Kitty till the dawn of time. But, you know, Jazz Chisholm could be a Chiss. Like, it'd be like, oh, instead of calling him Jazz, which is a pretty cool nickname, they could have gone with even cooler nickname, Chiss.
I don't know. I kind of want to have this be a recurring bit throughout the show, but it makes, like, saying chiz is just it sounds like ball cheese. I don't know. It just sounds awful. Like,
ball cheese. Yeah, I can't believe you went there first here within the first 2 minutes of the show. It's ball cheese. Word of the day. Oh, the Pee Wee Herman alarm's going off for ball cheese.
Hang on. Let me fix this quick because I want to do. There we go. That looks better to me. It's now got the baseball overlay. These are the things that happen on a Wednesday afternoon. Hit that like button. Again, we had the strangest thing. It was set up for 5:30 p.m. Eastern time, 2:30 p.m. Pacific time. I noticed that, 5 minutes before we started this show. Didn't send Spags a link. So now we are ready to rock. We're ready to roll. And I've got the Sims tool all rocked and ready for us. I do like this slate a lot. And plus, I don't know if you knew this, Spags, but last time I was on the show with you, I got second in the moonshot. Unfortunately, it wasn't in the $5, or that would have been really fun. I would have gotten third in that for 10 grand. But overall, I can't be too mad. Spags. Nice little $12.50. I can basically play the $3 rent-free the rest of the year.
Well, you know what's great about that too, and I did see that, and congrats to you. Obviously, Eric doing a great job in MLB DFS as always, but with that finish, you had Lindor in your lineup, I believe, hitting 2 home runs, and of course, my home run pick that day, Juan Soto, put up the big 0, as instead Lindor hit 2 home runs. So it was a real double whammy there for my directional accuracy. Fantastic. Actual accuracy, not as good as you, Mr. Second place.
I can't remember who my guy was. I don't think he did very well either, but you know what? The Sims tool is fantastic. And we have a really cool thing going on today. I'm sure you probably heard a little bit earlier, and I'm actually going to pull it up here. It's got to be in a different part of it, but we got promo code Jorge going, and it is unbelievable. Unbelievable. We have this going. Jorge Giacomi, who's been in the streets absolutely forever, but he ended up sharing this with the people. Sims Max giveaway. We got a couple of rules going for this one today, but it is the promotion that we have going throughout this entire show. The only thing, we'll talk Portfolio EV as we go with it because it's attached to it. You sign up for Portfolio EV with code Jorge, Jorge. I can spell that, good for me. Other people can't with chiz and stuff, but you get 2 free weeks. You get 2 free weeks of Portfolio EV with horses. That's a really good thing. You're getting tons of MLB bets, NHL bets, NBA bets. Then new users get the free trial plus free week, and then returning customers get the 1 free week. So if you have checked out Portfolio EV already, you'll still get 1 free week. But that's not it, friends. The whole thing is that Jorge wants to give back to the community, to the Sims that have helped him make so much money. And obviously the 50K bank right off the bat in the MLB streets. You got 5 users that are going to be drawn. All you have to do is sign up for Portfolio EV and check it out for 2 weeks. You don't like it? Awesome. Sounds great. But you know what? That will show over any long sample size its weight in gold. And then you get 5 users who are going to get picked for 1 month of MLB Sims Max. The drawing is on Friday. That is going to be this Friday during NBA Live Before Lock. That's going to be the main event. It's going to be awesome. But Jorge Giacomi, my guy, he has ran up the ranks here in the MLB DFS streets, the NBA DFS streets, the NFL DFS streets. Remember multiple times seeing top finishes by him there. Check it out. Want to give him the love that he so deserves. Check out this offer now. Promo code Jorge down at the link below. All righty. Jorge, we'll talk about that a little bit more later in the program, but anything you want to bring up for this slate? Because, well, we got 52 minutes to break down before we turn things over to NBA Live Before Locks Bags. But Chiz, anything you really like about this slate?
Yeah, I mean, I think that, so one game, I feel like I'm actually curious your thoughts as well. Some of the sites out there that put together lineups have red weather for this game. Some of the other weather men out there, the Mevin Toss of the world, have as yellow in terms of the weather. But KC, seeing as red on Schmantasy Schmabs, Mevin Toth has it as yellow. Where are you landing, Schmerich Schmidquist, with the weather in KC?
Wouldn't you like to know, weather boy?
I think I've done a good job here. We didn't give any free plugs.
Where are your parents? Sketchy out here. Do you know that video that I'm referencing?
I do not. I'm still.
Oh, that would have been so good.
Names.
No, it's this weatherman who goes out and interviews this kid, like getting fireworks. He's like, oh, wouldn't you like to know, weather boy?
Well, look, bullying weatherman I can support for sure.
We got to get some context to it. Just like this needs context. I'm only here for Puppet Lindquist. I think most people, when Spags is on a show, that's literally the main event of everything. I don't need to talk. Chris doesn't need to talk, or Chiz doesn't need to talk. It's basically just our guy, Puppet Lindquist. That's for sure. Not yet. They have to hit the like button, Spags. It's got to finish out the shows. And then we got this 499 super chat. Placed 22nd in the 4-seamer because of the Sims. Need another home run from a former A's catcher. Put me inside the top 10. There were a lot of like different words. Foamer. That's fun. From an A's catcher. There you go. And then inside. He just wanted to let it know it was inside, Spags, with a couple E's at the end. I think that's how you accentuate that. But congrats to Caleb Wiggins, 499. Thank you so much for the super chat. You are appreciated. But back to the question. You brought up the weather. Anything you just want to dive into pitchers and start like we always do?
Yeah, I mean, because like I have a lot of interest in Lorenzen today. So the weather to me in KC is germane. And yeah, that's really where I guess I would start with things.
Yeah, let's do that. I've got the Sims here pulled up for you, which again, 5 people are going to get the Sims Max package with that promo code Jorge, Jorge. You sign up for that down below. You'll get automatically entered, and we'll have that drawing on Friday for the Live Before Lock. But let's start diving in. And it is starting with pitcher, where it gets really fun right from the get-go. Freddie Peralta pulling a ton of ownership here, and Logan Webb. I think paying up for pitching is very, very important today. You had a lot of interest in Michael Lorenzen, who I think the weather, it's definitely going to mute my interest to some extent, although I'm on the under of that game, mainly because it's Colorado outside of Coors, and Colorado can't hit a beach ball outside of Coors. But Freddie Peralta, fastball Freddie, this is a little bit freaky because, yeah, we have this game environment in San Francisco, and both pitchers, the win be damned. I mean, hopefully somebody gets the win, whoever it is that I roster more of. At the moment, that's Freddie Peralta. But Logan Webb's added a new run as far as what his sinker is doing. And it's bred some really nice results early on. But, I mean, amongst these two guys that we're spending up for, I find them almost impossible to get away from because I don't know how we don't get a ton of strikeouts with these individual lineups today, Spags.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think if you're playing one of the 20 maxes, you're playing 150 sets, you're going to get a lot of Logan Webb. You're going to get a lot of Freddie Peralta. I would say if you're using Stokastic data and the Sims, you're probably likely to get more Peralta for yourself. I got 60% of him, and I think it makes sense. I mean, he's got 11 Ks per 9, actually closer to 12 Ks per 9 versus righties over the last couple of years, 10 Ks per 9 versus lefties as well. Getting a favorable park here going into San Francisco, and totals as well for both teams really low. Milwaukee only 3.1 implied runs going against Webb. San Francisco only 3.6 implied runs going against Peralta. So they are both good chalk. I do think if you're putting in less lineups and like, let's say the big tournament, trying to take your big shot up there, I think moving away from Webb, moving away from Peralta is an easy way to fade a ton of ownership. But, pitching chalk going to be a little bit better. Was that what wrong? You said Jermaine? What did I? What did I say?
That's what I wanted to ask. I wanted to ask because I love the word. I love Jermaine, and obviously
He also
I've heard
spelled it incorrectly. There's no I in it.
Yeah, it's Jermaine. It's so there's Jermaine, which is French origin, and then there's Jermaine, which is the one you used, which is saying something's fitting or appropriate, and you used it correctly. And I want to point out the a-hole that is Garth Everard. Oh no, he's French. That's why he's mad at you. That's why
he spelled it wrong too. You definitely can't correct somebody and spell the word wrong. But I'm pretty good with my vocabulary.
Again, Everard, I'm pretty positive that's going to be like French Canadian when it's all said and done. Let me know that if I'm correct about that, Garth. By the way, I do love you. I just always get sarcastic.
No, that's fair. Ask me to pick an Aaron Judge home run or a Juan Soto home run. I can't do that, but I can get the word Jermaine right when discussing an MLB slate. So
MLB just wants the puppet. So there you go.
He knows the word Jermaine.
He knows the word Jermaine.
Yeah.
He's been around the block more years than us. Anyway, Freddie Peralta, definitely the guy that at 9,800, I want to get a little bit more of, but shout out Logan Webb. I mean, he's really revamped his pitch mix and he's pulling more ownership between the two here at the moment. I just refreshed our top pitchers tool and now it's gone to 45 and 41%. So it's starting to get a little bit more accentuated as far as the difference between these two. But the whole point, Spags, is that if you are trying to get away from those two today, don't. I would be playing one of the two, I think, in just about every single lineup.
I think that's fair. Look, I think Peralta to me a little bit harder to fade than Webb. I think they're both strong plays. I do think they're two cheaper guys that I like because of the matchups. So frankly, I'll just spoil it. Festa, I do think losing one high strikeout guy up top makes it look a little bit less good to me. But I think you get away with Lorenzen and Festa today if you want to fade the chalk. But Webb and Peralta, highly projected, going to be highly owned, deservedly so.
Yeah. Jermaine Marquez, that's so funny. He's on this slate. That makes me so happy.
He is a relevant Marquez, so it is works there as well.
It makes me so happy that he is out there pitching. It's spelled right, but it's used in American in relation to legal affairs, or so I thought. Not worth arguing. It's okay. Google exists. We can all do it, and it is okay for you to do the same thing and just stop typing. But we are going to continue going down the list. I'm sassy today.
Yeah. And you vaguely defended me. I think you were willing to throw me under the bus if I'd used the word incorrectly, but I didn't. So then you had my back.
I knew you didn't. That's why I did it.
That was fair process. Judge Eric here. It's going to be the new spinoff show on the Stokastic channel. Judge Eric, which actually I did pitch back in the day for Kayla Kanira, just a thing really for mostly Eric and me. I thought there should be a show where she judges the quality people's bets based upon like them making a case for it, and it would be Judge Kayla, and she would have been a great show.
Basically, like having this this major left wing or major right wing judge, and have them defend against people that are the exact opposite of their viewpoint. Like that's what Kayla Canarum as the judge. I'm not going to tell you which side of the aisle she is on. I have an idea based on employment status, but anyway. We have a lot more to cover here on today's slate. We've got Freddie Peralta, Logan Webb. I think they are outrageously good options. Can't poke a hole in anything that they have going here, but I will say this. Eduardo Rodriguez is sitting at 9K, and this has a 9 total. It is a big, big total that we're staring at. It's probably one of those rapper guys totals, if I had to guess. But overall, I do think that there's a lot of credence against a Tampa Bay team. You get them outside of that little bandbox that they play in, but the roof is open in Arizona, and this is kind of like this push and pull effect. I want to see Tampa Bay's lineup. If it has Christopher Morel, which I assume it will, that's a 41% K rate bat that you're throwing in the middle of things. Jose Caballero, somebody who can play multiple positions, 36.2% Curtis Mead, Danny Jansen, who has some really short home run odds for today for God knows what reason, Junior Caminero, Taylor Walls. These are all really good strikeout opportunities here. So I think the one pitcher that I'm kind of apt to boost the most today is probably Eduardo Rodriguez today, Spags.
So I'm under on him. I got 7%. I don't think you're necessarily incorrect. I mean, the strikeout stuff's always been there for Rodriguez, about rounded up 9 Ks per 9 versus righties, rounded down 9 Ks per 9 versus lefties. So right where you want a guy to be for the most part. Certainly could be a little bit better, but he's not giving up a ton of home runs. Only a 2.7% rate there, so under league average. I think he's in an okay situation. I'm with you with the strikeouts being a little bit more appealing for the middle of the order guys like Morel, the early part of the order with Yandy Diaz, with Caminero. These guys hit the ball hard. They don't really strike out too often. I'd worry a little bit about that with lefty pitching going against them. But Yeah, like I don't think you're usually pretty good with the pitcher calls out of the blue, so I'm not going to poo-poo it too much. I just think you're getting similar plays with some of the cheaper guys to Eduardo Rodriguez.
Well, I mean, if we're just going to like 2 days ago, Tyler McGill was 14%, and the Sims gave you over 50% of him. He was the guy that the Sims identified that just was completely underrepresented. But one thing that happens, I think, on some of these slates, and the difference is that Tyler McGill was a 7K pitcher. What we're getting is the quality of the game environment in San Francisco is so good. And while I want to take shots on David Festa, considering it's the White Sox and his changeup, which we'll talk about, and I'm kind of obsessed with. We've got Bowden Francis, who's off to a tough, auspiciously bad start for a guy who had an amazing second half of a season. We've got JP Sears. Every slate is its own beast. And then when you're dealing with sample sizes, like you don't want to do too much manipulation of the projections over any long-term period because there's not enough people utilizing the Sims tool and the projections here at Stokastic to not have it win out over any long-term sample size. But what I'm basically saying is Eduardo Rodriguez, if I'm going to take down one of those major guys up top, 9,800 Freddie Peralta, 10K Logan Webb, it's got to come by way of strikeouts. And I just don't see a lot of strikeouts for anybody else. So even David Festa, the pitch count isn't like some insane number here of late. Let me refresh this one second because I do have one mistake in my sheet because I know I missed one of his starts because I'm a
I think he's been under 80. I think he was at 76.
Yeah, 64, 76. So I had it correct. Okay, never mind. Just wanted to double check my work there for 2 seconds. I mean, you can't project him over 85 pitches today. And while it's the White Sox, it's really hard for me to look at him at 8,800 and then look at Erod with the potential of what that Tampa Bay lineup can be and not think that a guy who has hit 90, 95, 93 pitches might not have a little bit more utility, even in a game environment where, yes, Arizona roof open, we're going to see more runs over any long-term sample. But for today, it's also an ownership game, and he's not pulling a ton of it relative to the other two options.
So I think in terms of the ownership game, I see where you're going, and I do think this is one of the things to give Eric his flowers for. I think your game theory talk with these kind of things in general, with late swapping, has been something always you've mentioned, but I think you view these things a little bit more intelligently than a lot of us do, myself included, where a lot of people just follow the projections and go from there, and that's it. I could see where you're going with Rodriguez from there. I think where I differ is that Tampa Bay, I think, is a much scarier lineup. I mean, you have the top of the order here with Diaz, Caminero, Aranda, Morel. You have 4 guys with over a 40% hard hit rate, most of them above 50% or so, as Kitty the dog tries to climb behind me for some reason. You cannot make an escape.
That was the weirdest laugh I've ever made in my life. I apologize to everybody.
So for Rodriguez, basically, you have a bunch of tough hitters. For a guy like Festa, you're going to be going against a bunch of players that are barely, league average, if even that. You have Palacios with a 43% hard hit rate. That's not great to see up top. Besides that, though, you have Benintendi, who doesn't get hitting the ball that very hard. 34% hard hit rate. Dog, can you please stay still? 40% for Luis Robert. Under 30% for Edgar Cuero. That's a very small sample size. I'm not worried about those guys, where I do think for Tampa Bay, there's guys I'm worried about. The total as well, a little more favorable for Festa. So I'm team Festa, but ownership-wise, getting half the ownership, I get it.
This is what I'm happy about. So I'm playing 150 today because now I'm a big boy. But David Festa, Eduardo Rodriguez, I kind of want to be pretty similar on both, to be honest. I think the pitch count concerns for Festa exist still for me. And then I think Erod just has an electric potential ceiling. Again, I would really, really, really want to zig-a-zag but getting the Tampa Bay lineup, that would make me happy. If you want to be my lover, you got to get with my friends. Make it last forever. Friendship never ends. It's where my
Spice Girls. There you go.
Hey. Somebody put Miley Cyrus, I can buy myself flowers, in the chat, and I just couldn't help myself but keep singing it. And now I'm going to continue on our merry way because this has no point of existing. But we only have 8 games on the slate, 16 pitchers. So again, I am looking for these 4 pitchers to carry the entire day for me. Freddie Peralta, Logan Webb, David Festa, Eduardo Rodriguez. I'm going to be paying up for pitcher today. I don't think it's a day to get to these other characters, and it might really not be a day to get to these characters if we lose out on any potential stuff for Michael Lorenzen. Why don't you refresh the people on what Schmevin Schmoth or Schmanishy Schmabs have to say, because that's really my only concern. Otherwise, I think Michael Lorenzen is somebody I'd want to be overweight to.
Yeah, so right now I'm playing Lorenzen. So Schmansky Schmabs does have the game as being red in weather, so that would be something would be a cause for caution. Mevin Toth though had it as a yellow, saying that the weather seemed like it's going to be a little bit delayed, not going to be there in time for the 7:40 Eastern start time. I'm hoping that's right. I think it's something where I'm prepared to pivot if I have to. I think the spot for Lorenzen is too good. You're facing 7 guys this lineup for Colorado that strike out above league average. That's always something for me that I'm trying to target guys that are going to be facing, a crush of players that are not up to snuff in terms of avoiding strikeouts and all that. Lorenzen's stuff himself is not that great, only 18% K rate. That's not where we want to be under league average. But the matchup is so soft. The team's not good. The total's not that great for Colorado with 3.7 implied runs. I like Lorenzen a lot here. I think what you've said about Webb and Peralta and even Rodriguez, I think those guys feel a lot more secure play, both weather-wise and talent-wise. Lorenzen is getting like a really crappy team going against them. I think the spots against Colorado and the White Sox for Festa and for Lorenzen, like they're just too good of a spot for those guys.
Other guys that we can kind of consider if we really want to, Andrew Heaney. I identified one spot for Andrew Heaney one time, and I think that's probably going to be all that I really am able to pull out of the clouds. He was like 2%. I think it was against the Yankees. He ends up throwing 10 strikeouts. That was useful for me. Didn't end up taking anything down because my favorite stack, I jammed an entire game environment that put up like a grand total of 3 runs. So that didn't go well. But Andrew Heaney against the Angels in Anaheim. There's definitely power in this lineup, but one of those weird things where, like, even though you get this influx of righties that exist there, you look at the Angels lineup and they've just been markedly better over the last couple of years against righties. And that's come to fruition yet again this year. 73 WRC plus against lefties, 25.7% K rate, 126 ISO. I'm just a little bit worried that Andrew Heaney, that one strikeout matchup was kind of a mirage. And yet we're getting double the field on him at 8,100. This kind of speaks to some of the stacks we might want to get to. But I do think out of the 8K range, when you subtract David Festa, who I'm going to be right around the field on, talked about the Erod case for being double the field there in my personal stuff. Again, 15% ROI boost. That does the trick for me. I don't really have to manipulate anything else whatsoever, and I'm pretty happy with my exposures. But Andrew Heaney is a tough cookie to crack. Which side of it are you falling on for him?
So I am playing a little bit more than the field of Heaney. Got 13.5%, fields at 11. So I guess technically in favor. Didn't stack against him too much. Only a 5% 5-man stack rate. Actually, no 3-mans, no 4-mans. So I guess a little bit more in favor of Heaney than not. I think his strikeout stuff is okay. He's facing a lineup that strikes out right at league average, 22.7%. Certainly he gets guys to chase enough, 46% chase rate, 11.4% swinging strike rate. It is, a reverse revenge game. Maybe the Angels know him well enough from being there many stops ago for him. And, that's something to take advantage of. Park factors as well, I think, working a little bit against Heaney. I think he's an okay play here. I mean, I didn't get a lot of guys with 10%. I have pretty consolidated ownership, basically the top pay up guys and then Festa and Lorenzen. So I'm okay with Heaney being a guy you get to. It's just, his stuff isn't wowing anymore, and you kind of can overlook the flaws more in the past. He's kind of leveled out some of the power flaws, but he's not as good of a strikeout guy. So you kind of have a pitcher that maybe if he does well, if he stays in the game, I'm not sure if he does against the Angels with as high of a total as they have.
Yeah, it's really, he's probably the one pitcher that I just don't know what I want to do with yet. And there are a lot of late games. It might depend on how some of the stuff pans out throughout the night. I don't want to say that I'm automatically going to be double, but like, I think it's pretty easy to be overweight to Peralta. I think it's right around the field or a little bit under Logan Webb. I'm fine with that. I mean, these two, I just want to get in a majority of my lineups. So these will definitely change in terms of exposures. But Andrew Heaney, if I ended up double or under on him, I kind of don't care because I can make the case for it. And I mean, he could absolutely get his face bashed into in Anaheim today. It wouldn't surprise me whatsoever. And I don't really think, like, if we end up losing out on some Michael Lorenzen in our lives, if we miss out on some Herman Marquez, such as life, even though 5,300, I'm probably going to roll out more than 1% of him, if I'm being honest. Won't be anything over 5, but I then get to this other range, and it's like, what do we do here? I can't make a case for Bowden Francis in his current iteration against a Houston team that, bringing a lot of righties, but he's just not really getting the swing and miss that I was hoping for. And JP Sears, this game environment is just so brutal. Same reason I'm getting to zero of Taj Bradley. Normally you would see a strikeout rate like that for Taj Bradley and you'd think, man, I got to play some of him. I'm very out on Taj Bradley. Just give me that entire game environment every single time going out here lately. I mean, what are we even doing here? Do you have any contrarian pitchers in like the 8 or 7K range? Because I really don't.
Yeah, I didn't really either. I got Sears at 5%. I got Bradley at 3%. I got Eduardo at 7%, like we talked about. Bowden Francis, I got 14% of. Matthew Boyd, or Matt Boyd, which has been killing my data here. He's different things on all different parts of Stokastic. I got 18% of him. So if I'm going to make the case, I think it would be Boyd and Francis the most. I mean, Boyd kind of speaks for itself. The matchup you're getting there, you're going against the Dodgers. Boyd's got good enough stuff, 25% K rate, 9.6 Ks per 9 versus righties, 8.6 versus lefties. But, it's the Dodgers you're going against. Just facing Ohtani 3 times in a game, and bets alone, like that's more than enough to spook you off of that spot. So I'm really not dying to get there. Francis, I think he's got some decent results so far in terms of keeping the ball, the BABIP low, 210 BABIP overall, 191 average allowed, but he's getting barreled at a 10% rate. So maybe some worse things to come from him, not really avoiding bats that well, with only a 41% chase rate. I just don't think these guys are that great. If I get a little bit more in a 150 set, that's fine. But I think it's a slate to me where I think, like we've kind of talked about this entire time, it's a few guys up top that look good. I think a few guys I feel comfortable with in the 7 to 8K, I guess to 9K range. These guys you get some of, but I don't think you need them.
No cock for me.
That's rare. Because you have so much in your pants. Which side of your pants? I don't. Your assless chaps.
Anything else you want to talk about?
No, I mean, if you want to talk about Jack Kokanowitz, I think you can maybe make your point there. 4Ks for 9, not the best.
Let's go to FanDuel. I mean, just body bag me on a lovely Wednesday afternoon. Why don't you? I'm going to have to go hang out with my dog to feel better about my life now. But here we are. Pitcher over on FanDuel. It's okay. You're loved, I think. I might kill you after this. Logan Webb, Freddie Peralta. Definitely the guys pulling all the ownership. They should be pulling all the ownership on FanDuel. Talked about how spending up on DK is just absolutely the way that I'm going to be going in some capacity. I'll take shots on Erod and Festa. But really, I mean, this is almost like the most efficient ownership we've seen on FanDuel all season long. I was building out some lineups before the show, obviously mainly sharing the DK sims as we're working through everything today. But I mean, I can't really make a case for a contrarian pitcher on FanDuel. I don't even think I would leave the top 4. And the way that I'm doing things today, I mean, I think I would just be playing 65% at least of the game environment there in San Francisco. I mean, how do you get away from Webb and Peralta with the way that they've been pitching at the start of this season?
I mean, look, the one case you can make against them is that they do seem a bit overowned for FanDuel, where 9.9% chance of being a top pitcher for Webb, 9.4% chance for Peralta on FanDuel, but 29% ownership for Webb, 26% for Peralta, rounding up. Your boy Rodriguez, I think, looks a little bit more logical here, where he's got an 8% chance being top pitcher, but only 8.7% ownership. Festa, stuff you mentioned about the pitch count, I'd worry about getting the quality start on FanDuel with that a little bit, but he also looks, a little bit overowned, a little bit over leveraged. I think Eduardo kind of stands out. I think you take the shot there a little bit more. But I'm with you, like Webb and Peralta, strong plays, I think, no matter the site.
Yeah, Erod, again, that game environment, Tampa Bay, Arizona. I'm really not going to go to Taj Bradley against Arizona there. We've got another game environment there, the Athletics and Texas, that we'll talk about a lot at Stacks, because apparently those totals are just going bazooka over every single time. And talked about that before the season. I thought that was very live, even though it's the lowest run creation park for the PCL. EMAC, it's a little bit different, my guy EMAC, because we had talked about it a little bit before the season. A little bit different when you put major league ball players into a ballpark that's already good for run creation and then see what happens. And we're seeing the cream rise to the top there, and a lot of runs being scored there in Sacramento to start off the season. But yeah, I honestly, I like the Erod shot a little bit more on DK as an SP2 than I do getting to him over on FanDuel probably be a little bit underneath I was when I first ran my stuff, but Logan Webb, Freddie Peralta would just eat up everything for me, and I'd be just fine with it. David Festa, have almost zero desire to play him on FanDuel at this ownership purely because of pitch count concerns. I want to have these two guys who I know are going 6 on the daily, who have outs props heavily juiced to the over of 17.5 today. It's just so many guaranteed points in your lineup. And I think that's where we're seeing such a projection difference, is like the chances of both of them not just smashing 17.5 outs today, getting over that, is minuscule, Spags.
Yeah, no, I think that's a fair way to look at it. And yeah, the Festa part on FanDuel would worry me enough. I think DraftKings you can get there, but the quality start, you're just chances of getting there pretty low for him, I think, even if he does kill it strikeout wise.
All right. Anything else from pitchers, or should I just never talk to you again? You tell me.
I love it when you talk here. I think, Jack Kokanowitz, maybe not a bad play on FanDuel.
I like how I came up with a bit. I thought it was going to be funny, and then you absolutely – it's like being at the net against somebody who then just smashes it overhand into your face. Saya Suzuki scratch, so we're going to have to remove him from our lives. That's actually going to matter to me because Kasparius and the rest of this bullpen spot, yeah, that's going to be something that shifts around a little bit for me. But yeah, I don't think I have anything else on the pitcher side to talk about.
No, I think that's it. I think we covered these guys as well as we could.
Okay, well, I want to cover this one more time because I think it's very, very important. You know what? Gosh darn it. People like him, and they could like him even more. And why is that, my friends? Well, we got Jorge Giacomi. Sims Max giveaway. Talked about it at the onset of our program. We got almost 500 people here hanging out, talking a little MLB DFS on this lovely Wednesday evening on the East Coast, afternoon on the West Coast, in my neck of the woods. And, well, Jorge is good people wherever he might be. And we got to find out, actually. I don't know where Jorge is at, but I do know that he is a stud for this. He wanted to offer this up after his 50K DFS binky over in the MLB streets. 5 free MLB Sims Max subs. Now, here's how we're going to do it. You sign up for Portfolio EV with the code Jorge, Jorge. You get 2 free weeks if you haven't signed up for Portfolio EV already. And if you have, you'll still get an extra week for free. So even returning customers are going to get at least 1 week for free. And then 5 users will be chosen to win 1 month of MLB Sims Max. Now, if you're already a Portfolio EV sub, email the screenshot of that sub to support@oddshopper.com, and we will put you in that drawing. So you still have an opportunity, but oh my goodness, unbelievable stuff. Jorge, there he is. He's in chat. I wanted to give him the love that he deserves for this. Such a cool thing. We've never had anybody do anything like this in the 5 years that I have been here hosting shows. And I can't tell you how cool it is to have such a good dude just paying back to the community and to this company in large. So if you guys want to take advantage, check out Portfolio EV, which is such a great tool, going to be helping you make money. It's kind of the new cash game format. We talked about that multiple times, where you can make money in the betting streets that can offset some of those days and the inevitable swings that exist in the DFS streets. But 5 users are going to get a month of MLB Sims Max when I'm sharing directly on the screen with you. So that drawing on Friday, get your popcorn ready. Going to be a biggie. You want to run good one time with that one. That is for darn sure. But shout out Jorge in the chat. Going to give him the love that he deserves because I'm here. That's where was it? I saw it.
Also, were you asking where Jorge's from, or just like where he was at?
I wanted to know where he was from. Yeah.
Okay, you know where he's from? I think he's from the state of Washington.
That's beautiful.
Actually, Yakoma, Washington.
Okay.
So I just little geography here. Not always thick jokes, guys.
You got geography. You're such a good geographer. Man.
The dog tried to climb away as I made that joke, so that's probably well deserved.
Down in Mexico. Mexico.
Oh, cool. That's even better.
Hot, I just gotta go. Little James Taylor for the people. Absolutely love it. And EMAC just throwing a fire emoji. He invented fire, so shout out EMAC for that. Really cool stuff. But we are going to talk some stacks, and this is where it really gets fun because I think pitcher, it's really not the way that I'm going to get different today. I think we've kind of covered that a little bit in depth, but stacks, I am going to be making some stands today. And we start with, I think, probably the most important one to talk about. What are you doing with my Minnesota Twins against Bryce Wilson and then the White Sox bullpen behind him.
Getting a lot of them. I got Minnesota at a crazy amount. I mean, look, 5.4 implied runs when actually now the highest total on the slate. I got 19% 5-man stacks. I got 5% 4-man stacks, both the highest marks for me on the slate. Also 5% 3-man stacks, which is towards the higher end, but not the highest. Like Bryce Wilson is, I think, not an egregiously bad pitcher. He just doesn't really miss the plate too much. Only a 38.4% chase rate. I was the worst on the slate. Swing strike rates at 8.5%. Also towards the lowest parts of the slate. Doesn't really get strikeouts, and he's going against a Minnesota team that gets on base, 340 on base percentage, 115 WRC plus. The hitters themselves, maybe a little more hard hit rate would be nice to see, but good launch angle team, good barrel rate team. So Minnesota, I think, looks really strong here. The total being the main thing driving you there, and really reasonable price tags for these guys. I mean, you have up top 3 guys priced. Actually, no. I mean, everybody priced under 4K. It's like they're on sale on a slate where nothing else is this cheap.
Yeah, that's really kind of what it is. It's just a price thing. And I mean, Buxton is 4,600, and you look at his home run odds sitting around like plus 250 as an aggregate. I mean, it's absurd. Brooks Lee, 2,500, third base shortstop. We got Keishel, my guy, 3K. He is going to be good at the second base position for us for years and years and years and years to come, I hope. David Festa, he doesn't apply because he doesn't hit baseballs. Trevor Larnach does, 2,900, super cheap. Finally warming up to this season. I mean, the guy came out of the gate like, I don't know, just tripped over a hurdle, and now he's got to catch up to the field. Hopefully the steeplechase, you're able to catch up. That would be useful. Edward Julian. I mean, we've got so many of these dudes that are just so cheap, and against the White Sox and Bryce Wilson, I think he has stretched out enough to go like 3-4 innings, but like he's not good. And the White Sox pen, really bad behind him. So like, what do you do other than just stack against them? I don't know. They're not even the way that I'm going to be getting different today.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. Got a lot of Minnesota. They occur naturally. I think there's some secondary stacks maybe, or even, primary stacks to pair with Minnesota. I mean, the great Jake Hari used to, one thing I remember that he would talk about is you see a lot of the 5-man stacks, sometimes getting a lesser amount of the players, get a 3-man, try to consolidate your production there. You could certainly try to do that with Minnesota as well, but they are a team I think you have to get exposure to on the slate. And Minnesota's park playing a little bit hot, 3% park factor boost for Minnesota so far this year, which I don't know if that really matters too much, but it's something.
We got Kansas City that's pulling up, quite a bit at the top of the board as well. I do think that, paying attention to that weather is very, very important. I hope we hear late start. That would be the main thing that I want to hear is late start and having an opportunity to really figure out exactly how to handle that whatsoever. But otherwise, there are 2 teams that I think are very interesting that are next on my board. Let's talk about David Festa, shall we? We got so much ownership coming in on him relative to other pitchers on this slate. But the guy's got a 478 expected slugging, 363 xWOBA, and maybe it's just like this obsession I have with picking on my own team, but it's the only way I can sleep at night these days is stacking against all of them. Bailey Ober, it's so over at times. Then you've got, David Festa, Pablo Lopez, who's just been dinged up right out of the gate. I mean, Joe Ryan struggled most of the season as well. This is just not a starting pitching unit that I expected. And the bullpen, while it can be elite behind it, we haven't really turned it over to them up in a lot of ball games this season with how our offense has performed. So I really do think this is an interesting stack to be getting to in single entry today, the White Sox. I'm going to be eating the chalk at pitcher, but what's your White Sox interest today? Because I have an auspicious amount of interest.
So, I mean, I do like Festa, though sim-wise, I naturally didn't get a lot of White Sox anyways. So those 2 things paired well enough where I really didn't get much of the Sox side of things. 3% 5-man stacks, 1% 3-man stacks, nothing 4-man wise. So just didn't really come up. I think the main thing for me with Festa is like, and I get going against them. I think as Greg has said many times on stream here, just going against these chalk pitchers, especially if they're not, guys with elite stuff, guys who really limit run production. And Festa's not really that guy. He's given up a 1.3 whip, which is, a little bit less than average on the slate. He's not a great pitcher, but he does have good strikeout stuff. 10.6 Ks per 9 versus righties, 10.8 versus lefties. That's what I think matters here when you're facing a White Sox team with 6 guys that strike out above league average, and you have guys like Edgar Cuero in there. It's probably not a big enough sample size. Amaya also probably not a big enough sample size. He's striking out a ton so far, but they have some easy strikeouts to be had here. So I tend to believe in Festa stuff more. I hate that I have to homer for your guy, but he's got good stuff, and I don't think the White Sox do have good stuff. So I'll take the guy who's got good stuff.
Okay. Minnesota, the highest 5-man stack ROI. I built almost exclusively 5-man stacks today purely to try to, sim some different ways. I'm trying out some different stuff in MLB. And I think experimentation, great for college, also great with the Sims tool. It's also just something I want to be doing more on these shows, is talking you through what changes in the process. Now, on your screen, there's still some remnants of 4-mans, even though, it's something that I tried to omit for the most part for today. But I do have the White Sox third behind Minnesota here, just in terms of what the Sims are. Are they a likely scenario? Absolutely not. But only 57 of those lineups. I think the pool is going to be very, 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 very small on them. And I don't know, just constantly, some of our middle relievers too for Minnesota, just been brutality. So some of the relievers you might get if you put up 4 or 5 for the White Sox early against Festa, you get the leverage against Festa lineups. And then you also have the opportunity to run amok in those middle reliever spots that haven't been as strong. But I do look at some other interesting spots. Texas going up against the Athletics and JP Sears. I bet Wyatt Langford to hit a homer here. The guy has been absolutely electric boogie woogie woogie whenever he has been healthy. You've liked all my bits today. I appreciate that about Texas. How do we handle them in this ballpark? Because 9th inning bump, you have so many cheaper than they should be candidates, but everybody's been hurt out of the lineups at times. But Wyatt Langford back in our lives, confirmed, good at hitting the baseballs. And I just want to get to lots of them.
Yeah, I'm on the same page as you here. I was actually trying to find ways to get Texas and Athletics stacks together with Festa and Lorenzen before the show. Didn't occur naturally in the sim, but you can probably find your way there if you really want to work for it. I think they're both in a good spot. And I mean, and again, to give Eric some more credit again, as mentioned, this A's ballpark being, a bandbox to start the year since the beginning of the year. And, 70-degree weather there, like nice factors in general, but 13% positive park factor so far, 28% more runs, comparing the production of teams at Athletics Park compared to production elsewhere. 13% more hips, 11% more hits, 11% more OBP, 3% more home runs. So maybe home runs, frankly, see more due here. But you have nice totals on both sides as well, 4.9 implied runs for both. So I actually like getting to the Athletics against Rocker. I think that's going to be a little bit harder to pull off sim-wise. But Texas versus Sears, you get a lot naturally. And, Sears I don't think is awful, but 200 ISO versus both sides of the plate. I mean, he's the kind of guy you want to target in a, big park switch for these guys as well.
Yeah. Carlos Soto, thanks for showing your thought process, Lindy. You should follow my thought process when it comes to DFS and betting. Do not follow it outside of it, or therapy is in your future. So make sure that you continue to just follow what I say on these shows, and then do not follow my thought process anywhere else. But anyway, we'll all be happy and joyous, but I really appreciate the compliment. Thank you. Thank you so much. As a fellow Twins fan, yes, we need Royce Lewis back in our lives. I am losing sleep on the daily watching this baseball team play. Yesterday got a little bit sketchy. That's for sure. Sketchy. Like, I'm not going to say that example. We got Arizona and Tampa Bay. Again, roof open. That's kind of an interesting one, but there are some stacks that are coming in way overowned. And then San Francisco and Milwaukee. Isn't this crazy, Spags? I wanted to point this out before I did anything else. The reason that I am going to have at least one of the two of them in every single lineup today, look at the 5-man stack ROIs. How many times this season have we seen the most popular pitcher going up against a stack? And that stack is up here in the 5-man stack ROI, like number 1. They are the dead last 2 teams on this 16-team slate in terms of 5-man stack ROI. How nuts is that, my dude?
No, that is pretty crazy. I mean, in the lineups, frankly, going against both pitchers, going against Webb and Peralta, they're not bad lineups. I mean, 19% K rate for Milwaukee. It's obviously a really bad run total for them, but they're not bad. They have some guys that hit the ball hard. Chorio, Yelich, Contreras, Rhys Hoskins, all in the top 5 or top 6. Like, those guys all smoke the ball. So I think, it's not a terribly easy matchup. And for Peralta as well, team with a 173 ISO going against him, 107 WRC plus. So above league average. They're not facing like the White Sox, kind of caliber team. So it is crazy to see, but it does speak to, I think, what you're saying, that the pitchers here, even if they are very chalky, seem, appropriately owned.
Okay. Yeah. Feels good. Feels great. Now is where it gets very important. We've got 14 minutes left in our show. We're going to finish it like we always do, Nuke of the Night. We're going to talk about our 2 home run play, the guy that we really think can go completely nuclear. I have an interesting one for today, that's for sure. But these are going to be the conversations that I think are going to be the difference makers on the slate. I think pitcher is very easy today relative to other slates. I think Minnesota is unavoidable. I think the White Sox are a nice contrarian team, but obviously nobody's really playing them whatsoever. Now is when we have to differentiate stacks for large field tournaments. We have in the top stacks tool a number of different paths. Now, Kansas City, a little bit weather dependent. Let's talk the Dodgers, because I think when you are paying up for pitcher on today's slate, if one team gets squeezed whatsoever, I think it's got to be the Los Angeles Dodgers in this kind of a spot. Matthew Boyd is also a really, really good pitcher. So am I trying to go out of my way to go pick on him? No, but I want to at least talk through my thought process about how I look at this slate. They are the first game right out the gate, 70 degrees, pretty neutral wind for the first time in forever. But this lineup, 1 through, I'd say 7, Rojas and Barnes at the bottom are just disasters. I really don't want to go nuts with them, although 2K, 2.1K, there is some utility there. How are you handling the Dodgers? Because I think any day that they're going to be underrepresented, which it looks as though they are going to be to some extent today, I have a ton of interest.
I think it's logical. I mean, I think it's easier to get to the Dodgers in 3-man sacks, certainly, than you are getting to 5-mans and ones like that. But I got Ohtani at 26% of lineups. I feel like sim-wise, I always get a good amount of Ohtani, and really one of those things where I would never complain about the amount of Ohtani I'm getting, because if he can fit in, great. We know the upside's huge. Like, he's just obliterating the ball over the last year. I mean, I don't have to tell anybody here, but 21% barreled ball rate, 60% hard hit rate. Like, he is so green on my sheet compared to everybody else. It's crazy. To get him hitting in the one hole, you get as much of him as you can get that fits in lineup. So happy to do that. And Boyd, like you talk about a lot, high fly ball rate going against him, 45% fly ball rate overall, 48% versus right-handed batters in particular. So I think there is a little bit of risk there. The park factors maybe not favoring a ton of home runs, but the Dodgers are a great team. So I'm with you on getting there. I think, again, 3-mans to me more than 5-mans, but frankly, if you get a 5-man and it works, like not gonna be a lot of them played, I don't think.
Yeah, and that's kind of the interest level, is like a team that is expensive, that gets squeezed to some extent. I think it's just so valuable on a slate like this. And you get guys who are confirmed lefty killers. Teoscar Hernandez, Mookie Betts is an everybody killer when he's healthy and good to go. Tommy Edman has been a lefty killer since he's been acquired by the Dodgers. Andy Pages up to 6th today, considering Rojas and Barnes in this lineup to play. I just think there's a lot of utility in maybe getting to them, because I could see a world where they get squeezed pretty darn heavily on this specific slate. Now let's get to another team. Taj Bradley going up against Arizona. We only have 5% ownership share coming in on Arizona. The other team I was contemplating for single entry is the Arizona Diamondbacks. You just have a team that's constantly, against any right-handed pitcher, just had the goods. Corbin Carroll is on another planet. We're talking a 127 WRC plus, 4th best in baseball, 11% walk rate, some of them run. And then the biggie, a 230 ISO against righties, number 1 in baseball to start off this season. How do you feel about the Arizona Diamondbacks? Because they're another team I think I'm going to be way over the field on.
I think I'm lower on them, and I think that's a symptom of me boosting the Athletics more, which I can live with because they're one of my preferred stacks on the day. But I see no issue with Arizona. I do get Corbin Carroll a lot on slates. I don't know if that's Eric talking to the data guys and going, hey, let's make sure everybody gets a little taste of Corbin Carroll as I pump the bags like a crypto scheme on every platform. Meme coin Corbin Carroll doing pretty well on the year.
Oh my God.
But I got 24% of him, so I think getting him more in one-off situations than actual stacks. I mean, Bradley gets hit pretty hard, 38% hard hit rate, 38% hard contact rate, 43% hard hit rate, which is, I think, a stat cast difference, basically. 10% barreled ball rate as well. So I think seeing 1 or 2 guys get there off of him seems the most likely to me. But, you know, I think that you could talk me into 3-mans. You talk me into 5-mans, too. Steep price tags for a few of these guys, like Carroll is really expensive now, even though I know you love him. Like 6,300 for him is asking a lot.
Don't give a shit. I have Byron Buxton, 4,600. I have the Minnesota Twins and stuff, and Corbin Carroll will be in way more than 10% of my lineup. So 11% of him there. I'm going to play him in around 30-35% of lineups. I think he's one of the best plays every single day. Spags, I mean, he's like Ohtani if you just imagine Ohtani smaller. Like, that's Corbin Carroll right now. Corbin Carroll has a 77 mile per hour bat speed, way up there this season, 1.5% difference between last year and this year. Lefty relievers can no longer kill him. He had a 190 ISO last season against lefties. He steals bags at a pretty high clip. I don't know. He's just been somebody that coming into this season I was extremely high on. I'm glad to be right about him. there's people I was extremely high on who have not been as good, and we will not name as such because I, hashtag tout life. So it is what it is. But Carlos Correa, oh my God, that's a lot of people who want to play Carlos Correa, including myself. So maybe need to mute it out a little bit. Is there a stack that you have your eye on? I brought up two that I think could get really squeezed on this slate because of some of the pricing. Arizona, as you said, Corbin Carroll's not cheap. And then obviously the Dodgers just hard to get to when you're paying up for a 9,810K pitcher. Is there a stack that you think is going under the radar? I did hear you say Athletics against Kumar Rocker.
Yeah. So we kind of talked about the game environment a little bit there, talking about the Texas side versus JP Sears, but going against Rocker, and I do think Rocker has shown some signs of life here with the K rate now up to 20.4%, still under league average, but versus righties is at 24%. So we're seeing kind of the stuff that made him a prospect people were talking about for a while, but he is still getting hit hard 50% of the time, hard hit rate. The chase rate for him at 42%, not that high either. So he's getting guys to swing and miss at 12%, but he's kind of trying to get it past him on the plate. If you try to get it past the A's on a plate in their park, I think that could be a problem. And again, the Athletics have 4.9 implied runs going their way. So I'm a little surprised, frankly, they're as low as they are on the top stacks tool, only 7% chance of being a top stack, 5% ownership. So positively leveraged, but not, one of the highest odds teams. But I like them a lot. I like the top four a lot. Bunch of guys who barrel the ball, who hit the ball hard, have high WRC pluses. I think they could be a game-winning stack today. And even Muncy, assuming that he does hit in the 9-hole, another guy who looks pretty good to me. Really strong team, I think, for me with the Athletics. But I don't know. I feel kind of on an island with them because the ownership's not really there.
Malakar, member for 49 months, our guy Malakar. If hand building, do you start with pitcher or stack? I'm going to answer it this way. Completely depends. Usually the pitcher just kind of comes naturally to me because a lot of what I do from the betting streets, I'm looking in the first five. I'm looking at markets where, the starting pitcher is going to influence heavily what the odds are set at for, money lines and looking at strikeout props and things of that nature. So pitcher kind of comes naturally to me. I kind of have the idea of the pitchers that might be a little bit under-owned relative to what their upside could be, because I'm always looking at upside for under-owned players. But sometimes there's just a stack like in Coors Field where it's like, well, I'm playing five guys from them against, gas can X. And as such, I just end up putting them in first. And then, oh, shoot, I can't afford this pitcher. I'm going down to this pitcher and hoping it works out for me. So if hand building, I hate to say it that way, but it kind of depends. Do you have any way of answering that different than what I did?
It's a little bit different for me because and maybe, this could be the difference in Eric's results, just finishing a lot of top tournaments. I do often like to choose my pitcher, choose my top stack, and let what the Sims do around that kind of do their work. Because I like having some control, some hand on the wheel. If I'm doing a 20 max, I'm doing a 150 max, then that's where I try to do things much like Eric is doing on streamer that you guys can see. But yeah, I think for me, I like to choose top down. You can choose a stack first if you want, and then choose the pitcher. But I like making those choices for myself. Just have the lineups have a little bit of more of my stamp of approval. But I get it. And one correction from the chat too, which I was wrong about. Muncy not with the team right now. He got called down or sent down. So
yeah, Max Muncy of the Athletics. I sent a tweet out before this show celebrating that fact, because anybody who does spreadsheets daily or DFS and trying to put that together, he has been the bane of our existence. So him in AAA, I feel bad because he seems like a nice kid and all, but only one Max Muncy out in the MLB streets right now, not in the lineup today, so it makes our life easy.
Good for data, but man, he's the most baffling 9-hole guy that I've seen hit the entire year. He's got a 220 ISO. He's got a high launch angle, barrels the ball. He shouldn't be hitting ninth. I just don't get the logic. But anyway, he's not going to matter now.
Well, he's going to AAA now, so
yeah,
there's all
I know, but theoretically.
Part of what's interesting, I think if we're just talking the construction of the team, Jacob Wilson is just the most interesting hitter in baseball to me. Do you know how many walks he has had this season? How many times he has walked?
Give me one more time. Sorry, I missed the prompt.
So Jacob Wilson has had 86 plate appearances this season. How many times has he drawn a walk?
I see he has 4% walk rate overall. So once?
0. He has a 0% walk rate. He has a 4% K rate. He doesn't strike out. He has had 0 walks the entire season. How unbelievable is Jacob Wilson at contact?
Not good. He's got a 1.2% barreled ball rate.
but at making contact with a
Oh,
base.
you make it slapping. Yeah. 310 BABIP.
Yeah. No, he's slapping the base, 28% hard hit, but he's got a 335 expected batting average. This has utility. I mean, if Luis Arraez has been in the MLB forever, I mean, this is like Luis Arraez on crack at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, high batting average probably. I mean, he's not even getting lucky on BABIP. I think if your batting average is that high and your BABIP is pretty close. So I don't know. Yeah, maybe not. Might be the new Ichiro. That's what we've been looking for.
It's a 415 expected slugging. So like even the hard hit isn't even like that big of a consideration when you just talk about him like being a functional MLB player. Like he may never, ever, ever hit it out of the yard ever. But like, again, I just think he's such an interesting case study because it goes against everything that we know about the modern game. Strike out a lot, hit it far a lot. Like those are the two things that have kind of existed forever. And, you know, Aaron Judge is now kind of breaking the code because he can do everything and he's not striking out relatively high. Like he's been sub 25% yet again this season, sub 22%, I think. But I look at Jacob Wilson as just like the most fascinating hitter. But anyway, we got to get ourselves to Nuke of the night so we can get absolutely out of here. He absolutely raked in the minors in a limited sample. Yeah, he was just getting hits. That's for sure. But we're going to do the fast nuke. We're going to do the nuke that blows off that dick of mine. We got to turn it over to Greg Ehrenberg and Josh Engelman. NBA Live Before Lock coming right up here on the Stokastic YouTube channel. Don't have to go anywhere. Promo code Jorge down below. But tell the people, Spags, who's going twice tonight for him?
So I've complimented the Athletics enough. I'll put my theoretical money where my mouth is. I'll go Brent Rooker, who has like a pristine launch angle. I know this from playing MLB The Show. 18-degree launch angle, hard hit rate of 50% facing Rocker, who I do think we could be seeing the downside of Rocker today a little bit. Lefty bat's probably a little more in line to do well against Rocker with him giving up a 330 batting average, even a higher hard hit rate. But I think that Rooker's frankly been one of those guys like Kyle Tucker. Somebody's talking to me about my Discord, how great he's been over the years. Rooker's really good. So shout out Rooker.
I love crossing over the top batters tool with my own stuff just because I think the home run percentages and kind of evaluating stuff, not that it's a perfect science, but I really do think that there's, you know, more that you can just do data driven in baseball. That's really, really fun. The stack I've omitted the entire conversation is against Kokonowicz, or however you want to say it, the cock. We are definitely going to go to some lefties on the Pittsburgh side. Brian Reynolds, tons of utility on today's slate. We got O'Neal Cruz at the top of that lineup as well. But Brian Reynolds, one of my favorite home run bets of the day, also at plus 600. So one of those rare, like I'm playing him DFS. I bet him. Let's fire it up here with Brian Reynolds. But that's going to do it here for our show. Head over to playback.tv/Stokastic as well. We got Spags. Tell the people where to find you as we get out of here.
Follow me at Chris Spags. Check out my daily NBA videos at Splash Play Bets. Usually do them in the afternoon to give them some evergreen shelf life. So check those out if you were playing some NBA playoffs, or just go watch Live Before Lock right now too. That also works.
All right. Thank you to everybody being able to get everything scheduled out to start this up here at 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Pacific. But it is now time for NBA Live Before Lock. We will see you guys tomorrow.